Welcome back, everybody, for another edition of Legends of Tomorrow. I believe this one's entitled Zari, Not Zari. The episode starts with Zari. She wakes up in Nate's bedroom, and she doesn't know how she got there. She's freaking out. Nate's like freaking out, but in a good way. They did say the two of them did not have sexual relations, which was funny, but they but Gideon basically told Zari that she was sleepwalking and she went into Nate's room at like 2:30 in the morning, which is probably something that she used to do back when she was her old self. Because Zari right now, she's having like memory flashes and certain things where like her subconscious is actually acting on. It's not like she's just having like thoughts anymore, because before she was eating donuts. The old Zari did that. She was able to do computer stuff like the old Zari. But now she's starting to like physically like act on things, like she's like hanging out, like she's like unconsciously going into Nate's room. She went to go talk to her brother, and then Bayrod was playing Mortal Kombat, and that's something the old Zari used to do. She used to play Mortal Kombat with Kid Flash and with Jax. And when new Zari picked up the Mortal Kombat controller, she was playing. She beat Bayrod, and then she was just like, "Yo, I'm freaking out." She was just like, "I don't." She's like, "I'm playing video games. I'm eating donuts. Like I'm going in Nate's room." She's like, "What's happening to me?" But then she even touched she touched the totem, and then wind came out of the totem, and she's like, "How do I know how to use the totem?" So she's so Bayrod basically, so Bayrod and Nate, they were talking to her about the timeline, in which like the old Zari and the new Zari, thanks to Hayworld, may have like ended and then began. So Bayrod suggests that she takes some edibles and meditates herself and puts herself into the totem, which is what she does. So Zari goes into the totem, and Bayrod told her, he's like, when you go into the totem, you should meet up with our ancestors, because that's what happened to Vixen. When Vixen went into her totem, she came across like Zambezi ancestors. Now, it's funny because the ancestors of the totem that Zari has probably should only be 2 generations deep Muslim, because that totem was originally a totem from Africa. So there was a point, and it belonged to like, African lineage. So there has to be a point where it got stolen, transported to a different place, and then a Muslim family got their hands on it, and it became, like their totem or whatever. So she goes into the totem, and when she goes into the totem, she sees the original Zari. So we got old Zari back, we got new Zari. The two of them come together, they're talking to each other. The old Zari, she was basically just like, is mom and dad alive? Is Bayrod alive? And then, new Zari, she's like, yeah, everybody's fine. Why wouldn't they be? And then the two of them, I guess at that point, like they had a conversation where old Zari told new Zari the entire situation about how their world was, before the time switch happened. How her brother died, how her parents were dead, they were in concentration camps, like Argus was targeting, like metahumans, so I guess like the two of them basically compared notes at that point. New Zari was like, wow, you seem like really cool and like, very in depth and everything, and then the old Zari, she was like, well, you seem fun, and everything. So the two of them had a beautiful conversation, they hugged at the end, and then old Zari even said she was, she asked her about Nate too. She was just like, how are you and Nate? And then new Zari was just like, oh, we're cool and all. And she's like, are you guys not together? And then she was like, no, because he's best friends with my brother, and that would be weird. But before she left, old Zari said, she was like, listen, come back again, let's talk, and then next time, bring Bayrod with you, because she said that because again, like when she made the sacrifice in last season, and the time, and then time changed, but like they keep saying, like time needs a chance to solidify. When time solidified, the new Zari appeared, and the spirit of the old Zari got sent into the totem. So that was that was it for that particular situation. Now we're back to loom business. So in the beginning of the episode, Charlie's old band, because remember when Charlie was first introduced to the Legends, she was in a rock band and she was a British white girl. And then when she came on the Legends, she took the form of Amaya, and then just stuck with the form of Amaya because that's who the Legends, like, everybody recognized her. It was a familiar face for them. So they take you back to, like, to England where Charlie's old band was, because she was in a rock band. And her sister is her sister has arrived. Her sister, because her sister's basically been traveling throughout time in the multiverse, in the universe, looking for Charlie so she can get the loom. So she goes to England. You know, she's looking for Charlie. She kills every single person in like in the club, and then she bounces. Gideon lets Charlie know, like, hey, listen, your sister just murdered all of your friends. She's crying about it, and then John is just like, like, I'm sorry for your loss, but we got to find the loom because now that we know your sister's actively looking for it, we we need to do something about that. And then Charlie's just like, piss off, John, and then John's like, all right, screw it. John uses his magical mumbo jumbo. He locates the area where the second loom ring is. He goes there. Sara and Charlie follow him. They're off in the woods. They end up, the woods that they were in happen to be the same woods where they film Supernatural. So that was a nice little nod. Although we didn't see anybody or any of the characters. And then they meet up with John. They get into this whole thing, and then Charlie's like, "Fine, let's go get the loom," because he's like, "Yeah, we're already here. Let's just go get it." So they go get the loom. Her sister shows up, and then John's like, "I'll take her on." John ends up fighting the sister. The sister takes him out, but then she herself, because I guess they can all transform their form, her sister took out John and then turned herself into John. She linked up with Sara and Charlie, and the three of them went to go get the loom together. Charlie finds the ring. Her sister, reveals herself. She, again, she was John, so she reveals herself. She throws daggers into Charlie's shoulder blades, got it pinned up, and then she takes the ring. Sara tries to fight the sister. Now, here's the weird thing, because Charlie had said in an earlier episode that she can't show the legends her true form, because if she did, the shock of her true form would have them all burst into flames. So the sister basically revealed her true form to Sara, and Sara just looked at her like nothing happened. And then her sister blasted her. Sara flew like 30 feet back, and then everybody thought Sara was dead. Like Charlie thought Sara was dead. The sister takes the ring from Charlie, and then she's just like, now it's time to find the other two. And then Charlie's like, you'll never find the other two pieces. And then the Wave Rider ends up landing, and she's like, aha. So now the sister's on her way to the Wave Rider to go get the second ring. Sara wakes up, and then everybody's like, Charlie's like, I thought you were dead. Like, how'd you survive? And then Sarah's like, how the hell should I know? But let's go get the ring. So they go onto the ship. The sisters. So, but at that point, because the Wave Rider had landed, Nate and Ava went into the forest to try to find everybody. So they find John first. John ends up not being dead, and the three of them are looking for Sara and Charlie. So now Ava, Constantine, and Nate, they're all on they're all in the forest. Sara and Charlie are on their way to the Wave Rider, and the sister's on the Wave Rider. So the only people that are on the Wave Rider now with the sister are Bayrod and Zari. And Zari, she's inside of the totem. So Bayrod, of all people, who's not a fighter, he's not a tough guy, he ends up bumping into the sister. The sister was just like, yo, tell me where the ring is or I'm going to kill Zari. Bayrod lets her have the ring. He doesn't put up a fight. And then after he lets her take the ring, like after Bayrod went out like a bitch, and then he lets the sister take the ring. Now all of a sudden he want to be a tough guy, and then he decides to take the what is it, the soul killing sword, the demon killing sword. He ends up taking the sword that they got from Genghis Khan, and he tries to chop the sister's head off, and then she turns around and she's like, all right, I was gonna let you live, I was gonna give you a pass, but technically speaking, because of the time swap, you ain't supposed to be here anyway. So she goes into his soul and pulls out his connection to life. She kills Bayrod because like I said, because in her mind, like she said, Bayrod was supposed to be there anyway because it's the loom of fate. They're supposed to control fate, like life, destiny, and things like that. And they was just like, in the original timeline, you ain't supposed to be here. So Bayrod's down, and then the sister she tries to leave the ship. Sara goes after her. Charlie and Sara end up fighting the sister. They Gideon opens the door while they're in the temporal zone. They're flying around in the temporal zone. Gideon opened the door. The sister flew out, but before she flew out, Charlie took the Genghis Khan sword and cut her sister's hand off because both rings were on her hand. She cut her hand off. The sister flew into the temporal zone. Now the legends got both rings, but unfortunately they lost Bayrod. So Bayrod dead. Zari's crying. Constantine's in the med bay, and they don't. And the only thing they can do now is try to find the third piece. Zari she gets up, and then she, after talking to herself, there's obviously some of the old Zari in the new Zari. Because again, like her spirit's in the totem, and Zari, she's currently wearing the totem now because Behrad gave her the totem so she could enter it. So now the spirit of the original Zari is even more infused into the new Zari because now she's actually wearing the totem. So she gets mad. She goes to Constantine. Constantine's like in the med bay, like dying or whatever. And then Zari rolls up on him, and she's like, "Yo, I don't know." She's like, "I don't know what you gonna do, but whatever you." Then Constantine's like, "I'm gonna find the last piece of the loom," and she's like, "Good." She's like, "If you have all 3 rings, can that bring my brother back to life?" And he's like, "Sure, it can." So she's like, "Fine, I'm gonna help you find the last piece. It's gonna be me and you." And she's like, "I don't care what you do. I don't care where you go. But until we find the last piece of the loom of fate, I'm gonna be on that ass, like on that ass, like 24/7. I'm gonna be in that ass, like." Zari and Constantine are gonna be like this, like for the rest of the show, because she's just like, bro, she's like, when you wake up in the morning to take a leak, I'm gonna be sitting right there. When you eating breakfast, I'm gonna be the one feeding the food in your mouth. So Zari gonna be in that ass, and that's actually gonna be funny to see, like seeing Kardashian Zari and Constantine like together is actually gonna be pretty funny. And for the little third storyline, Mick and Ava. Because Mick's still trying to make things right with his daughter, and it's not going well. She hates his guts. So then Ava comes up with an idea. She's like, "Listen, since you weren't there throughout her entire life, and we're on a time ship, let's just go back to every year of her life. We can plug you in. You can spend time with her, so this way she'll grow up with having you in her life." So they do a montage where it's like 2007, he's reading her bedtime stories. 2009, he's taking her trick-or-treating. 2012, like he's at her first soccer game or whatever. When she's 17, he sends her off to the prom. Like he took prom pictures. And Ava was with him the whole time taking pictures of every single moment. And there's now a photo album of Mick spending time with his daughter throughout her entire life. So now, like, again, like growing up, she remembers him, whereas like before, she grew up without him. But the problem is, so then they go back to 2020, and the problem is she still hates him because the night of her going to the prom, she said that, she took the picture with her dad and her date. They went to the prom. Mick went to the prom, but she said that during the prom, Mick left. And she was just like, "That's what you seem to do." She was like, "Every time you're in my life and I spend time with you and we do things together, you leave." She was like, "You always leave." And then he was just like, "But I was in prison." And she's like, "Not after 2015, you weren't in prison." And because that's when like the actual Mick, who's the current Mick who's actually in prison, that's when he broke out and he was hanging out with Snart. And then she was just like, "You just never came to see me after 2015." And even the current Mick, he kept dropping into her life. But then there was a certain point where, like, he went into her life every year of her life. But I guess like once 2015 came, he didn't go back. So she was just like, she's like, after prom, I never saw my dad again. Now the girl's probably like 24, 25 years old. So there was like 6, 7 years where she just didn't see him. So now she's mad at him about that. And then, he gets mad and then he leaves because he's just like, "I give up. I can't do anything." And then Ava was just like, "Look." She was like, we put you in a situation where you were in her life. We had you do all this stuff. We had you spend time with her. But she was just like, "Honestly, let's just try the one thing we haven't done. Go to the girl and just say you're sorry." And that was the one thing that he never did. He never actually apologized for being in prison. He never apologized for not being in her life in those key moments where he wasn't in her life. So, like in his mind, like he said no more shortcuts. So he went back to go apologize to her, but we never saw the apology. And like I keep saying, Mick is leaving the show. Like, Mick is leaving the show at the end of the season because Mick has done nothing related to what's going on with the loom and everything. Mick's whole thing has been about his daughter ever since his daughter got introduced. Ever since like the wife and the mom and the daughter got introduced. So Mick's being set up to leave. And he's not sticking around past that point. So get your Mick fixes as well as you can, because he gone at the end of the season. So that was it. that was a good episode of Legends. There was a lot happening. We need to find out why Sara didn't die. What sort of mystical, like, does Sara have powers now? Is Sara a metahuman? Does she have like a trinket that Constantine gave her? Does she have like one of those tattoos that Oliver had that prevents her from Sara? Because Sara didn't die from the hands of a god. So we need to figure that out. Does Behrad come back? Does Behrad stay dead? How will the old Zari influence the new Zari going forward? When's Mick leaving the show? Things of that nature. But I said, but it is good. It's good. The cast is actually getting smaller, which means when we get rid of some people, new people got to come on. So they're probably going to add more characters before the season's over. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Episode of Batwoman, no Supergirl this time around. So my Batwoman review will just be a Batwoman review. Because I usually do Batwoman and Supergirl together. We got The Flash coming up and the next episode of Legends of Tomorrow, and we'll see how everything goes. So leave a comment, like, and more, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and until next time for Legends of Tomorrow, I'm out this bitch!